Welcome to How It All Started podcast in North Iowa. My name is Erick Nganyange, and my guest today is the founder and owner of Primelife in Clear Lake, Ames, and other locations that we're going to be talking about. Mel, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Erick. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm excited. I think health is the most important thing for everybody.
I agree.
Because if you don't have that, everything else you have don't matter.
I think a lot of people spend a lot of time chasing it. They chase money the first half of their lives, their health the second half. A big part of our practice, I would say, are people in their 40s and 50s who are, for the first time in their lives, really actually stepping back and taking a look at their health, how they feel. Like, oh my God, how did I get here?
What is your holistic approach?
So holistically, I look at you as mind, body, and spirit. So it's not just your physical health. And that's where I feel like a lot of the art in medicine has been lost.
Yeah.
So we have science, which is great. It's amazing. Like the things that we can do within the field of medicine, they are just absolutely phenomenal. But if you treat somebody, like if you treat just your cholesterol, or you're piecemealed out to cholesterol, your blood pressure, your digestive system, it doesn't serve the person as a whole. You're still a beating heart. You have a mind, you have relationships, you have to feed your soul. If you're in an unhappy relationship and you have no sex drive because of that, I can fix your hormones all I want. But until we give you the support or get you in the right place to help fix that relationship, it's not going to blossom. And so, science gets you so far, but you have to treat the whole person. And what I found is the majority of illness right now, and I know multiple studies have been done on this, they're really stress related. And so if you treat everything and help the people not only get the tools, but use the tools to feel better, everything else starts to work better too. Like your gut doesn't work. You know how you feel when you're super stressed? Like your guts don't work. Yeah. A lot of people, get acid reflux. And it's like, I can treat whatever and make sure that your gut microbiome is on spot or, just working great. But if you're going to work every day and crying in the parking lot before you go in, that's your larger problem there.
Why do you think, because the stress is not a new phenomena, but do you think we are more stressed out now than we've ever been?
Absolutely.
What do you think caused that? I feel like we have everything now.
We do.
Compared to 100 years ago.
But we don't have connection.
That's true.
It truly comes back to connection, Erick. Relationships are everything. But if you sit there as a husband and wife, for example, and you're both looking at your phones but not talking to each other all night long, and then, you've got your kids playing or whatever, but they're on their devices or they're like begging for your attention, we've lost the connection. People live a lot on their own, especially our older adults. They don't have family close. Like it's very different. It's just a loss of connection.
Can we get that back?
I believe so. And I think it's probably coming back. Like there's a lot more awareness now, but it just starts with you and me physically being in the space with other people. Yeah. Like this, I feel very connected to you here because we are physically in the same space. Yeah. And sharing a conversation. We're talking with each other.
That's true.
That's really important.
That's true.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your childhood, born and raised.
Actually in central Iowa.
Okay.
So, super small school, Colonesco. I think that's also part of it. Like I look back at my childhood and it was happy. It was safe. I went to a really small school. Like our graduating class was about 56 people.
Oh, wow.
Think about that.
Wow.
That is not big. So you knew everybody, their brothers and sisters, their parents, their grandparents. It was tight, but it was also very supportive. And so I didn't feel like I was a number or lost in anything. As I'm getting older, I have thought actually more and more about that because it's a sense of belonging and comfort and community. Yeah. Yes. So I have to say, I am extremely grateful for my childhood. I had a very stable family. I was raised just very normal, middle class, nothing special.
What did your parents do?
My dad worked for the DOT full time, and my mom stayed at home.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep, and raised my brother and I.
Yeah, back then you could do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's a lot tougher.
Is it a lot tougher right now, or is it because we love things?
I think our expectations for what we should have are much higher.
Our society got to the point that we love things, man.
We do until we don't.
Yeah.
Until it takes over everything. a lot of that too is trying to fill an emotional void because it works for a while. And this is where it goes back to science. Is everybody likes that dopamine hit, right? But when you are not connected, your dopamine levels are lower. When you're constantly looking at your phone, and I call it doom scrolling. Same thing, I've heard that term, but just rolling through Facebook at night, kind of detached and zoned out. That's a sign of low dopamine. Like you're looking for that hit. Yeah. Like you're just looking for those hits. And one of the best ways to rebuild your dopamine levels, social connection, interaction, sleep, good diet, those things that help your body produce those neurotransmitters. Yes.
When did you fall in love with the medicine? Was that when you were in Iowa State or before that?
Okay, so kind of a crazy story. The first time I actually, as an adult, had to go to the doctor, I had a horrible, horrible sinus infection. I felt terrible. And there was a physician assistant in Jewel, Iowa, and I saw her, and she was the kindest, sweetest person ever. And she examined me and did everything. We talked, and she ended up giving me a hug, and she was just amazing. And I thought, this is exactly what I want to do.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even know that profession existed until that point.
Well, how old were you at that?
Probably 19, 20. It just changed my entire trajectory. And I was like, this is what I want to do. And I ended up not actually going to PA school until about 2003. I graduated PA school in 2005. Means I'm getting old, Eric.
Don't we all?
I know. That has been a while.
Yeah.
Yes. So I knew I wanted to do that, and it didn't work out to go to school for a while to go back for my master's.
Yeah.
But I would never ever exchange the experience I had in the interim. I worked as an exercise specialist, and that was the whole wellness and proactive side of medicine and preventative medicine side. And then on the opposite side, I worked as a paramedic, so EMS. And then just as a fluke, I decided to go to massage school because I loved it. I thought it was super interesting, but I never planned on actually practicing that as a profession. And so I had these three things that all were very different, but still overlapped. And that's where I say my career is a Venn diagram. They all overlap in the middle.
Back to the Primelife.
Yes.
Is Primelife considered as a clinic?
It is.
It is. Okay.
It is. Yep. We are a medical clinic. Medical office.
How many locations do you have right now?
We have two.
Two, just here, Messens, Clear Lake and Ames.
Ames, correct.
Okay. Before you got to the 2014, I want you to walk me through that path when you said, I'm out and I'm in on this.
Yes.
Did you continue to work at your current job while you're doing this one a little bit?
Yes.
First day, and for how long? How long did you do that?
So I actually worked two jobs.
Okay.
I worked full-time in the ER.
I expected that.
Yep. And then part-time in family medicine. So I would actually go from the family medicine to the ER overnight and then back to family medicine. And so it was getting to be a lot. And then I just saw so many people coming in for the same thing all the time. It was the same thing. It's it never got better. And it's I know that this can change. I know we don't have to do this. And within the system, I just couldn't do it. And so the position, what I was looking for to be able to practice this kind of medicine, it simply didn't exist. I couldn't say, oh, hey, I want to go practice integrative medicine somewhere. There might be a place maybe in Arizona, or maybe one in Florida, because I had been looking. But to just get hired for something like that, especially as a PA, it really was not a thing, especially at that time.
You made a decision to say, okay, it doesn't exist, but I'm going to create one.
Correct.
Amen to that.
It takes some balls.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Most of the time, we just complain about things that they're not there.
Right.
Instead of say, we're going to make it here.
And how it's I know I want to do this. And then it becomes oh my God, how do I actually do this? Because there are a lot of pieces to starting a business. Mm-hmm. There really are. And so people look at it now and it's oh, hey, this is running well. This is a thing. This is actually a clinic. This is a thing. And it's yeah, it is. And that took a lot of time. It takes a lot of back end time. And for me, it was learning how to integrate integrative medicine and functional medicine into my actual practice. And then how do you educate people on that? Like, what is the best way? And so, like, do you hire a health coach? Do you not have a health coach? How much of that do I do? What do I have other people do? Granted, it was a brand new thing. And so there was a lot of learning. I made a lot of mistakes and I failed 1,000 gazillion times, and I still do. I still fail every day, and I do it with glory. I do.
Break down what is integrative medicine and what is a functional medicine.
Okay. So integrative medicine is applying the best of all modalities. So both alternative medicine and then conventional medicine. And I always say
herbs and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah, I would say it was better described as complementary medicine. So it's not necessarily one or the other. It's like taking the best of all of the worlds and treating the patient holistically with what is available and appropriate for them.
Like what are you guys doing?
Like what we're doing. Yeah. It's like you have other options. Mm-hmm. And the best thing that ever happened, and I'll get back to answering your question here in a hot second, was COVID, I think. Just, my gosh, it made people stop in their tracks and ask, is this really the best thing for me?
Yeah.
And instead of placing blind trust in your physician or in the medical system, people started to actually ask questions like, is this actually the best thing for me? And then they had time to actually kind of just stop and reflect a little bit and ask, what can I do to be healthier? Yeah. Because I don't want to get sick and I don't want to die from this. Our clinic grew during COVID. So where a lot of, different things shut down and really struggled or suffered and went out of business, we actually grew because people started asking those questions and they started taking their health a lot more seriously.
Mm-hmm. And I think people wanted, you're talking about second option.
Yes.
Yeah. Second opinion. I think for people, it's like, okay, so everybody's talking about immune system here. Mm-hmm. How is my immune system look like?
And that's the hard part. Is like your immune system, it's so dependent on there are just so many factors that play into that. But it goes back to the same things that keep you healthy. What you put in your mouth, what you put in your brain. I think that is really overlooked. It's like, what are you actually putting into your body physically? Yeah. And then what are you putting into your body mentally and spiritually?
Mm-hmm. Oh, you say during COVID, a lot of people came to your door.
They did.
What was their main concern?
They wanted to know their status, like how sick am I or how well am I? Like what can I do to be healthy? Wow. What can I do to be healthy? Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really logical question.
Oh, it is.
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing that we joked about though, were women who were locked in their houses with their families, they did not miss their hormones. They made those appointments.
Oh, really?
You cannot expect me to be in the house with my husband and all my kids and not have my hormones. So,
and that's one of the biggest things you're doing here.
Exactly. Hormone replacement.
Yeah, hormones, and then men's testosterone.
Yes, absolutely.
That's one of the biggest thing. Because I had to get mine checked too. FYI.
It's that and that's the crazy part is like when you look at. It's kind of a side note too. Stress, it just kills your hormones. Mm-hmm. Like it really does. It drives testosterone down. Super necessary. Like you have to have good testosterone levels. And our guys, their levels are just so low. It's it's actually unusual to see a man with good, healthy testosterone levels. Yeah. And by healthy, I mean not 300. I mean like a solid 800 or higher.
Okay, so 800 and higher is
ideal.
That's health.
And it's crazy when you look at lab normals, like labs from lab to lab, it can vary up to 150 points different. And so when your doctor tells you your level is normal, you really have to dig in and say, is this normal for me? One, like actually go get your baseline level checked. Yeah. But then second, look at the lab normals and the lab ranges, because that lab could be 150 points different than the lab down the street. Mm. And so when you're looking at like optimal levels in a guy, ideally, minimum 600, ideally 800 to 1,000, maybe 1,200. Most men are running in the lowest one I think I had was 7. And then we've had a lot in the 70s and 80s. Like those are women have higher levels. And that's it just should not happen like that. Testosterone actually protects against insulin resistance. It helps protect your blood sugar. It makes your blood vessels, this is in a male, makes your blood vessels more flexible, lowers your blood pressure, your mood is better, you sleep better. There are so many benefits to having adequate testosterone, but stress freaking lowers that like crazy. So it's going back to those lifestyle factors. If you really focus on lifestyle and what you're putting into your body, what you're putting into your mind, your relationships, your physical activity, you will be so much healthier.
Yeah. Functional medicine. What is that?
So functional
And
medicine.
how is that connected to the integrative medicine?
So functional medicine is getting to the root cause of your health or I would say, or disease. If you have a health condition, so say you have like hypothyroidism, your thyroid is not working well, or Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune hypothyroidism. Why do you have that? Like, why is your body choosing to attack itself? So what a part of that could be genetic.
Okay.
Totally could be. And you can't change your genes.
That's true.
But you can change how your body responds. And so it's figuring out, like, do you have something going wrong with the pathways or the chemical pathways in your body as far as your metabolism? Is it something that you're eating that is causing these things to go awry? Do you have parasites in your gut that are causing, underlying low-lying inflammation all of the time? Are you nutrition deficient? Like, the number of people who are malnourished and overweight is astounding. You can be really fat and be malnourished, if that makes sense. Wow. So you can have a lot of excess body fat, but you're not taking in the nutrition that actually nourishes your cells. So, and then you have people who are very thin, and we call it skinny fat, because they're also very malnourished, but they're thin. Yeah. And so you have to look at it's going back to looking at the person as a whole. Things like heart attacks, cardiovascular disease, strokes, high blood pressure, diabetes, those are all inflammatory based conditions. And so when you look at the things that reduce inflammation, we go back to rest, sleep, healthy diet, physical activity.
What is the minimum hours of sleep every person needs every day?
So that is very person dependent. So I found my magic number is actually 6.
Okay.
I thought it was higher, but having measured it, I've had mine for 2.5 years now. That's a lot of data. 2.5 years worth of sleep. You have to have sleep to recover adequately. The Oura Ring, it was super helpful as far as me building up my heart rate variability, my resilience. I'm trying to get my immune system to come back to a normal level of functioning after that. It's been 2018, so quite a while.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, and I feel like I'm finally really getting to a much better spot. For most people, I would say probably 6 to 8 hours of good restorative sleep. If sleep was truly a drug, it would be illegal because it's so good for you. That's how your body recovers and restores. And
because you say a lot of other diseases can be cured by good sleep.
Good sleep. You have to have good sleep.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what did you say the name of that ring?
OURA.
Okay.
Oura Ring. Yes. Yeah. Just the amount of data that it produces is just crazy good. And then if you're really serious about tracking your health, it really does give you a lot of good information, and it's up to you to do with that what you want.
Yeah.
It's really, I feel like it's very valuable, and it's user friendly. And every year as the app is updated, they actually give you more and more information. So clearly it's been capable of doing this for a long time. They just hadn't put it out there yet, but every year they add more and more stuff. I've had the same exact ring for 2.5 years now. I've beaten the crap out of it. So they really are pretty durable, I have to say. Yeah.
So do you wear during the day as well?
I do. Yep.
What does it do during the day?
Same thing. Just it tracks your heart rate variability, which is also why I use it. Just my actual heart rate, my restorative time, my peak energy time, my activity, all of those things. It actually does help you make choices based on your own body rhythm because everybody's different. In women, it also measures a lot of temperature fluctuations, menstrual cycle fluctuations, those kinds of things too. It's super helpful for women who are cycling or perimenopausal, and then for younger women too who are trying to get pregnant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as far as fertility peaking, that those kinds of things. So
interesting. Yeah. So it does a lot of things.
It really does.
Oh man,
it really does.
You're working 2 jobs and want to do this thing. In December 2014, you open up. Which location did you open up first?
We were actually in Webster City, which is where I lived at the time. So I bought a building there. We renovated it with my former husband and opened up there. I was actually also a licensed massage therapist. And so I had a room in there for massage because I feel like that is so, so, so important. Just a side note, massage and body work everybody should be getting that. Just, it has so many benefits. And for me personally, I really enjoy doing that. And it's relaxing for me, and it helps kind of to balance out a lot of the higher intensity things that I did. And it really helped me to slow my roll and just relax and be. For me, I love massage and energy work just as much as I love doing what I do here. Yeah.
So how long were you there before you
probably
transition?
4 or 5 years.
Okay.
We opened the Ames office because frankly, Webster City is not very big. It's about 7,200 people. And we really took off when we went to Ames. That was just a really good place to have an office. So we ended up actually selling the building in Webster City and just went full-time in Ames. Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then you came to Clear Lake?
We did about a year and a half ago.
How is the Clear Lake Saratoga market doing?
It's been going really well.
Yep. Are you thinking about get to Mason City or not? This is close enough.
This is close enough. Yeah. And that's the thing. We actually had a Fort Dodge office, and then we found just between our staffing, supplies, and everything, it was spreading us too thin.
Yeah.
We were doing much better just staying very focused on the 2 offices. And so that's what we've chosen to do for right now. A lot of it really was just trying to get supplies and staff to the different locations. When we ended up with a bigger office in Ames, we expanded last fall, and that kind of helped make that decision. So we could house literally everything in the same building in Ames, which was awesome.
Nice. Yeah. Now in Clear Lake, you only open on Thursdays?
We are right now. We'll be expanding that most likely this summer or next fall.
Okay.
Just, it's just making sure that we have enough of a patient base up here to justify having the staff up here.
That's true.
So
that's true. In Ames, every day?
Yep. We're there every day.
Okay.
So, we are full Monday through Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Yep, absolutely. We don't see patients. I wouldn't say we don't work. We don't see patients on Fridays. That is our back office catch up day to do all of those other things, like the letters of medical necessity and prior authorizations and just all of that back end stuff that people don't see.
Yeah.
That's what happens on Fridays.
Now your dream is coming true.
It is. Absolutely.
The things that you wanted to do you feel like this is your calling?
I do. I absolutely do.
Nice.
I love what I do. And not many people can say that. I work all the time, but I'm happy. I am the happiest now, Erick, that I have ever been in my entire life.
Wow.
Ever. And I'm the most satisfied with my career that I have ever been in my entire life.
Nice.
Right now.
And it doesn't get no better than that.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
That's just it. It's I always felt like there was this level of resistance, not necessarily externally, but internally.
Yeah.
I was very unsettled. And it's I know this isn't where I'm supposed to be. I know this isn't where I'm supposed to be, but it's where I am right now. And so now I know I am where I am supposed to be.
Wow.
I am just, I
love it.
Really, really happy.
It's nothing great than your provider love what they do.
It's because I see the changes. I see the progress, and I see when people come in, we take their pictures and, they go in their charts just so we have a face that goes with the name. And when you see their initial picture and you see them 6 months to a year later, especially when they have been doing the work, they're completely different people.
Yeah.
They age in reverse. It's amazing when you see some people. Yeah. They look just completely different. And just the number of people that I know that we have helped that they're oh my God, you saved my life. I'm well, I didn't do anything. You're the one that did the work.
You are big on fasting.
Yes, I really am.
Talk to me about the benefit of fasting.
Oh my gosh. So fasting. There is great information out there on fasting. So I just want you to know, Dr. Mindy Pelz has killer YouTube channel.
Okay.
But fasting isn't just not eating. And that's what I want people to know. There are other things that go along with fasting that you need to do, making sure that you're getting electrolytes, you're still getting your fluids, you can still consume actually some things and stay in a fasting state. But the benefits of fasting are just crazy good. So what it does over time is it helps your body detoxify. It lets your liver detoxify itself. And then if you do it for a certain period of time, up to about 72 hours, that's when your immune system essentially resets itself. This is where people really get the benefits. So 12 hours is great. 16 hours is better. 24 hours is good. 36 hours can be better. You have to know your body, your basic level of health. If you're a super unhealthy person trying to go into a 2 or 3 day fast, do not do that. That's a horrible idea. Yeah. Horrible idea. A lot of people are so used to just using carbs for fuel in their body, they're unable to flex. And I truly say your body is a flex fuel vehicle. You need to be able to flex between your carbohydrates, your proteins, and your fats for fuel. And when you are eating every 2 to 3 hours, your body only registers that as carbs, and it's like you chew it up, you're done, and you get tired and you feel shaky and you feel gross and yucky. So you have to eat again. Then you feel good because you just got refueled, right? You should be able to go, 12, 24 hours with fluids, obviously, and feel just fine. But it doesn't happen. Like your brain loves ketones. So just getting your body into the place, or a healthy place where your metabolism is good. And I'm talking not like calorie burning, but like at the cellular level, like at the most basic of levels, where your body can get to the point where you actually can flex and use like your own body stores, your own body fats for fuel and feel okay. So the majority of my population in this practice it's female, and we're aged like 45 to 60. So that perimenopause, menopause section. And this is where our hormones start to get pretty wacky. Our periods do crazy things. And it's really where we start to feel not good. And a lot of women complain of belly fat. So fasting really does help with that. And it also helps your body to regulate the hormones. This could be a whole other like podcast just by itself. But when you fast, the first 6 hours, your liver is cleaning your blood. So you eat, then your liver cleans the blood for that first 6 hours. If you don't eat for that next 6 hours, the liver starts to finally clean itself. And that's where like those little garbage guys are picking up the bags and checking them out. So your liver is finally starting to detoxify itself. If you are eating constantly and taking in those extra calories, your liver never actually takes that break and cleans itself. So you just have this accumulation of trash all over. And then your hormones, they don't get broken down the way they're supposed to. They don't get excreted and taken out of your body the way that they're supposed to. You get buildup of all sorts of stuff that you don't want to stay in your body. You just essentially become toxic.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So you say if you do some type of fasting, 6 hours is okay, but if you get to that 72 hours is even better.
If you can work your way up to that, like that's not where you start, that's where you end, or even longer.
Okay.
You can do amazing things, especially for your immune system. Like, so cancer cells, a lot of people worry about cancer. I need you to think about this. A lot of things affect your cancer risk, but sugar feeds cancer. And so when you have a diet that's really high in sugar, high in refined carbohydrates, that is one of the worst things that you can take in. Then when you are fasting over a period of time, especially those longer periods, your body actually will start to kill those weak cells. And so you are essentially healing yourself every single day and every single time you do that. So, and this doesn't mean that you're not taking in adequate calories. You can eat pretty much as you want within your food window, which could be 6 to 8 hours, as long as you're fasting the remainder of that. You can have some pretty impressive improvements in your health just with fasting. And so just basic recommendations for people, don't start with 24.
Yeah.
Simply just don't eat breakfast one morning, but have coffee, have your tea, especially like green tea is super good for you.
Okay. So if you can do 3 things, you can probably improve your health: sleep, fasting, exercise.
Absolutely.
You do those 3 things.
Yes.
Things can change. What is your thought on vegan food?
It depends on why you're doing it.
Okay.
Yes, it depends on why you're doing it. And so that one is a little harder because you have to know what you're doing if you're going to be a vegan.
Okay.
A lot of people are like, oh, I just don't eat meat. It's like, oh, there's a whole other level of dietary need there.
Yeah.
So, you want to make sure that you're getting adequate vitamins and minerals, nutrition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about red meat?
Same thing. It's kind of like, I'm very much, if you look at studies, and we're back to the science here, the Mediterranean diet is by far
It's the best.
one of the best.
Yeah.
It's very broad. It's very healthy. It is full of colors. Full of colors.
Let's say I'm new, I'm coming in here, I say, I just want you to check my health. I don't feel anything, but I just want to have the benchmark to know what I'm doing. So what's the first thing you do? Just beside giving people those 100 questionnaires.
Yes. Lots of forms. Yes. Right. Hey, I need to know.
That's the first, when I filled that questionnaire, I never felt any questionnaire like that before. That's when I was like, geez, kind of crushing into my business.
It's thorough, isn't it? But the other part of that too is, how did you feel? Did it make you think about what you were doing?
Yep. It made me think about a lot of other questions that I will never, because most of the time the questions are very general. Correct. Are you active?
What does that mean?
I walk from the door to here.
I know.
I'm active.
Right.
But I think your questionnaire was more in depth, like, do you exercise? Yes. How many times a week? For how long? This is going to be deep. Let's go see. So what else besides, because that's the first thing you ask people to do. So you can kind of have a clear picture. Then what next do you?
Then it's just a basic blood panel. So a lot of times if you go in for a general physical, they'll do a CBC, a comprehensive metabolic panel. So like kidney and liver function, and then maybe or maybe not some thyroid testing, and and maybe lipids. They'll check your cholesterol level, but that's about where those wellness labs stop. And so if you look at those, most people, they'll be in range, like you're fine, you're normal. And that's where it ends. And then listen to your heart and lungs. And if you're, of the right age, you might get a rectal exam or a pap exam or, pelvic exam if you're female, and then like your regular screenings, like a mammogram, those kinds of things. But it's like, you're fine. Okay. And you go about your business.
Yeah.
But if you're tired, which I would say 95% of the people who come into our practice, that is their number one complaint is, I am tired. I am fatigued. I am tired. Do you know anybody who's not tired? Right.
Nobody.
Exactly. Okay. So then we have to dig a little bit deeper and tease out the answers of like, why are you tired? Are you tired because your husband snores all night? Are you tired because you're getting 4 hours of sleep because you have a screaming kid who just doesn't sleep? Or, you have a job where you're working overnights, but not getting restorative sleep. Why are you tired? Are you tired because you're subclinically hypothyroid? So your numbers are all kind of within normal range, but they're definitely not optimal. And what can you do about that? So then that's where that next level comes in. And that's where we excel is you have your general health and then you have like optimal health, right?
And this is optimal health.
This is more the optimal health part of it.
Let me ask you this, talking about the general lab work, because when I came to see you, I think a year prior to that, I did my blood work.
Correct.
And they told me my vitamin D was just fine. Keep living. Keep right. And fun enough, I think maybe 2 years prior to that, I went to Mayo. They told me your vitamin D is super low.
Right.
So then when I did again, it's like, oh, you're fine. So I kept moving. And then I came to you. It's like, whoa, you got a problem.
Right.
So is it possible because they just just did that basic?
They maybe checked it and maybe you were just like right at normal or just barely below. So what's interesting when you look at vitamin D levels, also a little bit of a tangent here, is those are based on normal levels in North America. You have to think the only places in the US that get adequate sun to keep your vitamin D up are like the very southern tip of Florida and the very southern tip of Texas. We are in Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the amount of skin to sun time is pretty limited here, except in summer. And even then most people work inside during the day.
True.
So unless you're supplementing, typically you will not have normal vitamin D levels. And then you also have to look at genetics. So like just based on my genes, and I did a DNA test to see what genetically I was predisposed to or not predisposed to. I am not a good converter. And so I can take all the vitamin D in the world, but if I don't take it with vitamin A as well and get adequate sun, I will never convert and I will never have normal levels. And so for building bone, for your cardiac health, for your brain, I mean, you need vitamin D in adequate levels. And I'm talking like 60 to 80, maybe higher, not 30, which is considered the like right where you tip from low to normal.
Yeah.
And that is it's just based on an essentially unhealthy population.
Yeah. What does the name Primelife come from?
It took me a long time to come up with that. And it's like, I wanted something because I thought like vitality or optimal health, or, there's just a lot of those out there. It's like, okay, so what does this actually mean? So it was prime and then life, like the best life.
Yeah.
Like right now.
You did not want to call Primelife Clinic? No.
Just Primelife. Because I also didn't want it to be just like thought of as medicine in case I expanded out into different services. And at that point too, I wasn't exactly sure what all I wanted to offer. And then it goes back to like, you have your journey of like, these are the things I wanted to offer. And then it's like, so I started to do some and then decided, you know what, I actually really don't like doing that. So, but I know I love doing hormones. I love like everything about it. And so I've taken a lot of advanced endocrinology and a lot of continuing ed because this isn't stuff that you normally learn. They're like, here's your estrogen patch and here's some progesterone. Or if you're like old school, they're like, oh, don't do that based on a study like 30 years ago that was actually found to be just super bad anyway. But I've done just so much advanced training in it and I just really still like it. I'm just so passionate about it. And I feel like it's just such an underserved area in medicine.
Here's another question for us as a man. Once we start hitting age of late 30s, like that mid 40s, we cannot get rid of the beer belly.
Yeah.
That gut can't go anywhere. How do we deal with that?
Back to what we talked about before. Yeah.
Sleep, exercise.
Yep. What you're putting in your mouth.
Yeah.
And then the other part of that too is you have to have your testosterone checked. Like you really do, because there are a lot of things you can do as a man to really optimize your own levels before you would consider replacement. A big part of that is sleep. You need 5 uninterrupted hours of sleep a night, ideally, to produce adequate testosterone, because that's when your body also produces growth hormone. There are cells in your testicles that are responsible for the testosterone production. You have to have adequate sleep in order to have the chemical feedback for those cells and for your body to say, hey, you need to make this. That's why we check testosterone levels in the morning, is because that's when they're also the highest.
Okay.
So yeah, you don't want to check them like, at the end of the day, because they'll be lower. You want to see what your actual peak level is.
Right,
and so that's why we recommend, doing that in the morning. But for men, I always say, get it checked. Know your numbers, like test, don't guess. That's a big part of it.
How often should men get that tested?
I'd say maybe once a year until it starts to go down. And then you're just like, ooh. Or unless you're feeling like super sluggish and don't know why, because, you have testosterone, you have thyroid issues, you have like, what if you have some sort of gut dysbiosis where your flora is all messed up? There's so many things that factor into that. Like, do you have crappy nutrition? Like, are you B vitamin deficient? Going back to looking at the whole picture, it's like, I can give you testosterone, but if you are like a guy who's eating like crap and has, same thing, kind of back to that big old beer belly or just a lot of abdominal fat.
Yeah.
A lot of times you're taking some testosterone and converting it to estrogen. Like, how do you stop that? How do we get that weight back off of you? So it's like going through, okay, in your clinical picture, what do you need to do? Yeah. Which is different than what Google says and different than what your neighbor says. So I feel like I have a lot of competition out there between Google and their neighbors and their best buddies. So I read on Facebook, I'm like, oh my God. Yes.
This worked on my neighbor. Yeah, don't try it at home.
Okay, so I will totally admit this. I'm a member of some testosterone replacement groups on Facebook, and just the stuff I read, I'm just like, holy smokes, guys! Like, are you really taking advice from a stranger on the web?
Yeah,
this is really not a good plan. Yeah. And some of the guys are straight up and like they're like really actually giving good advice, and then the other ones are just so far off. Like, it's so scary, and it's like, do you really? Yeah. I know, but it's take it for what it is. It is Facebook. And if you're taking medical advice off Facebook, and if you're asking for medical advice on Facebook, you're getting what you're paid for. Okay. So
you're approaching the 10th year anniversary here in December. Looking back on 2014 when you started, and as you're approaching your 10th anniversary, are you where you wanted to be?
I'm way past where I ever thought I would be.
Wanted to be.
Eric, I'm so eternally grateful just for the amount of support that I got, and actually probably for the amount of support I didn't get. And just looking at it that way, it's amazing. Yeah. It's absolutely amazing.
What does next 10 years look like?
Oh my God. Hopefully as much fun as the last 10 were way better. Yeah. Definitely way better.
Because I mean, the beauty is our society is shifting.
It is.
Big time to the optimal alternative medicine versus the things that we have been doing for years. Yes. And people start looking for, what else can I do?
Well, that's the thing. Our Our medical system is truly broken. It is not sustainable in any way at this point financially in the direction that it's currently going. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people are moving back toward the cash pay practices because it's direct to patient medicine and it's much more effective. It's much more cost effective, especially as people's deductibles go up. Yeah. I also have a high deductible, like mine's like $8,500. Realistically, it is to your benefit to stay as healthy as possible. It's also to your physician's benefit or PA or NPs. Yeah. It's in your best interest to just stay as healthy as possible. Yeah. I feel like now too, I am older, much more experienced. I have the confidence in what I'm talking about because it goes back to straight up. This has been my life. This is my experience. These are the things that I've seen. I truly feel like to make a change in medicine, you have to be the change. You cannot just sit back and bitch about it. Yep. You can't do that. It's like you can do it all day long, but it changes nothing. Yep, absolutely. The people who take the action, those are the people who affect the change. And as patients become much more proactive and they start asking questions like, does this really benefit me? How does this benefit me? Should I even be doing this? Yeah. Like, why am I doing this? That is how medicine changes. And so just blindly accepting advice or prescriptions sometimes isn't the best plan. The other part of that too is self-treating and just going to Walmart and picking something off the shelf because your neighbor said it was good. That's probably also not the best plan. But for people who really want to see a change, they're the ones who are voting with their dollars. They're voting with their time. They're voting with their bodies and by the things that they do and the choices that they're making. So I truly feel like even though medicine is in a state of crash and burn right now, we can change that. Oh, yeah. And a big part of that too, from my standpoint now, is moving more from the provider space into the education space. That is big for me. The last few years, just personally have been pretty disruptive and really, really hard. I had a lot of stuff going on. And now I feel like I'm in a much better space and I'm able to start doing a lot more of the teaching that I had intended to do. And the education, and then the education for the younger upcoming providers as they really get out there and start practicing. There is so much phenomenal information out there in continuing education for providers. If you had the power to do, how would you restructure the healthcare system? Ooh, I love that. Actually, I would bring a lot more of it back to the personalized medicine, the smaller clinics. I truly would. And I would have people and patients are people, be treated like a whole person and not sub-segmented out. Specialists definitely have their places because they are amazing at what they do. Like they know that body organ inside and out. But what I've seen just being more in the primary care arena is that you see like your nephrologist just for your kidney. You see a neurologist for the numbness in your feet. You see like the orthosurgeon just for the wrist pain that you have. And it's like, okay, but you have these conditions. They're not necessarily talking to each other and nobody's looking at you as the whole person and helping to coordinate that care. So I say probably just bringing it back to where you really have one strong primary provider, primary care provider, and then longer visits, better education, and then health. It's not just the medical system, it's a social system. And so granted, that's a whole other discussion. Yeah. So it's like, you may know what you need, but if you don't have the money to get it and the education with which to make it work, and then the social support either around you or in your household to make those changes, the changes won't happen. They simply won't. And so then when you start to have kids and you're raising those in that same system, like it just perpetuates itself. Yeah. I like the idea of coordinate care. Yeah, it's really, that's the way that it should be. And I think in some systems it's really good, and in other systems it's just very disjointed. I think places like Mayo, they're tight. They're doing pretty good. Yeah, they're super tight. Yeah. How do you structure the the health insurance issue? I would go back to the super high deductibles where people aren't using their insurance for like niggly little things of like, like I have a cough or a cold. It's like, okay. So what would you say the difference between a Primelife and the closest thing we have here? I don't know, maybe Mercy or any other clinic. It's the time and personalized care. We spend a lot of time with our patients.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yes.
100%.
It's hard to get a whole picture in 5 minutes. And we are obviously much more niche focused. I'll treat things acutely if I need to, but simply we're really not set up for that. I am set up to be like the support person. My goal is to help keep you healthy and well for the remainder of your life, and to treat you now so that you stay healthy longer and live a better life. Like, it doesn't matter if you live until you're 80, if you're in a care center and can't move yourself for the last 20 years of your life. Like, it's not cool. Nobody wants that.
What next for Mel, and what next for Primelife?
So Primelife this year, we are simply just stabilizing. We added a lot of new services last year. So we actually jumped a little bit more into the aesthetic arena. We do a lot of vaginal treatments. So we do a lot of sexual health. And I know we didn't cover that here today, but for women and their urinary incontinence, we do a lot of non-surgical treatments. Okay. So we offer all of those, and then our PRP services as far as O shots, P shots. So O shots are for women, P shots are for men.
What is P shot?
It's a priapus shot. It helps with erections and erectile function.
Okay.
And so,
is that preventive, or is that something
both.
If you already have? Okay.
Both.
Okay.
It can be both. Yeah. Some guys just simply use it for performance, just like the shockwave. Other guys are treating some form of erectile dysfunction.
Oh, okay. That's
where you also want to know, like, what's your testosterone levels? What are your vitamin levels? It's like, okay. So we always say for guys with ED, 30% at age 30, 40% at age 40, 50% at age 50. So it does not get better as you age.
As you age, yep.
Yeah. The longer you put off treatment, you're not preventing anything. You're just actually going to make it worse later. So it's a conversation that you're not having at home, or if you're just completely avoiding your partner because you feel like you can't perform. And then there's that anxiety component that is not good for the relationship. And so I feel like too, we've had a lot of marriages that are doing much better because their sexual function is better. Okay. And I always say it's something everybody does, but nobody talks about. And I have those conversations.
Elephant in the room. Yeah.
Yeah. And it shouldn't be. Yeah. So this year we're just really working on, just back to your question, stabilizing our services, making sure that everybody is very educated on what we offer. So we aren't just a functional medicine clinic. We actually really excel in hormone optimization and sexual function. That is truly what we do. And really, my goal is to keep you as healthy and as active as you can be for the rest of your life and prevent chronic disease, which is completely lifestyle mediated. Yeah.
I like that. I'm sure you've been paying attention how we treat each other in the country, constantly shouting and screaming at each other. How do we cure the partisan that we have as a people? Forget even about politics. Just as a people, how do we cure that and start coming back as togetherness?
Working together, eating together, playing together. Back to that 5-year-old saying, hey, want to be my friend? Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, we can completely disagree, but I still like you as a person. And that's where that, I feel like it's really easy to be a bully online. And it's really easy to say hurtful and mean things online. It's a lot harder to say it when you're person to person. And then also it's teaching our kids how to have those skills. And it's hard when some adults don't even have them, of how to have those difficult conversations where you don't agree, but to do it respectfully and in a way that's productive and moves you forward, instead of the constant battle back and forth where all that does is destroy each other, and it destroys the communities.
Oh, man. When it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as somebody who made a difference. I really do.
On people's health.
Yes. And their lives.
Yeah.
And as a good mom. Yeah.
Where do we go after we die?
I think into the next level.
Okay.
I truly believe that. I believe that this is one life of many.
You afraid of death?
No.
No?
No. I've lived an amazing life already. And that's the best part.
How do we leave? Because I think there's a difference between the people who are living and people who are existing. And I feel like people who have not find their calling, their purpose, and they're not in there searching for it, they're just existing.
They are.
And that's not a good way to be in this planet.
It goes back to our conversation before on fear. And
you think fear is what
it holds people back.
Hold people back from
it absolutely
chasing
does.
their dreams?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you think like, what is the absolute worst thing that could happen? And then it happens.
Yeah. And then you move on.
And then you're okay.
Yeah.
You are absolutely okay. And it's like, just ask yourself, and then what? This happens. And then what? And this happens. And then what?
Yeah.
You know what? You're still going to be okay.
Oh, yeah.
It really is.
Because the worst case scenario is death. If you don't
Is
die.
Is it though? Yeah.
That's a good question. Is
right.
it?
Or is it simply not living a life worth living? But I think that's why people are unhappy too. A lot of people are unhappy because they are not living their purpose. And then people ask, how do I find my purpose? You have to start doing something. Because this was not my end game when I started.
Yeah.
It wasn't. No, I was super young, super naive, had no freaking clue. I admit that.
Yeah, but you kept going for it.
I kept going. And it's like, this sounds interesting. I want to try this.
That's the key. Keep going.
Yeah. And you might find this isn't for me. And I tell my kids this all the time. It's just as important to know what you don't want as it is to know what you do.
Yep.
And you won't know that until you try.
Get out of shell.
So yeah, go try. Like, I got freaking thrown into life. I did. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. You know, if you go back in your life and think about probably 3 big turning points, I bet you can pick at least 3 where you're like, okay, the decision is made and it was just done. You never looked back. And some of those are made for you and some of those you make. But either way, they happened. And that's how you ended up where you did today.
You say fear is what holds people back from living their purposeful life.
Yeah.
And also you say earlier, the only way to conquer fear is to just do it.
Action.
Action is,
It's the antidote to anxiety.
Yeah.
1000%. It's going to suck. So just know that. Right?
You know what I think you might enjoy? Have you ever read anything on Stoicism?
A little bit, actually.
Because I think that's right there in your alley.
It's a healthy level of detachment to the outcome. Very much so.
Yeah. Oh, man. Anything else, Mel, you want to
Eric, this has been
talk
wonderful.
about? It's been great.
Your health is your life. I truly believe that we all have way more power than we ever thought that we had and that we ever give ourselves credit for. Nobody controls you. You control yourself. You are responsible for yourself.
I like that.
So own it.
Yeah, own it.
Own it.
Own it. I like it. Well, thank you for what you do. Thanks for kind of saving my life.
Thank you, Eric.
With that vitamin D ocean.
I know.
And thanks for agreeing to sit down and talk to me, highlight the Primelife. Where can people find more information about Primelife and you and the whole good stuff? And how can people make an appointment, come see you?
So actually, we have a really easy onboarding process. So you can either call us directly or visit our website, which is primelifeiowa.com. Super easy. And Abby will walk you through everything you need to know.
That was Mel Spencer, man.
Eric, my pleasure.
Thank you very
This has been
much,
so fun.
Mel. Thank you very much. Next time you got something else you want to talk about, let me know. We can make it happen.
Oh, I have a whole bunch of things.
Thanks, Mel.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.